What if everything you've been told about hope was a lie? What if hope, that shining light we cling to in our darkest nights, is actually the invisible chain that keeps us from true freedom? Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the boldest philosophers in history, made a shocking claim. Hope is not a virtue, it's your enemy. An enemy that seduces you into waiting, into dreaming, while your real life quietly slips away. Today we're going to explore why Nietzsche saw hope not as salvation, but as the most dangerous illusion humanity ever embraced. And by the end of this video, you'll see the world through a completely different lens. A lens that may change every decision you make from this moment forward. Welcome to the Logic Room. Friedrich Nietzsche was not born into an easy world. He lived during the 19th century, a time when Europe was facing an unprecedented crisis of meaning. The old pillars of faith, tradition, and morality were crumbling. Science was rising, but with it came a terrifying void. If God is dead, then what remains to guide us? Nietzsche was not, as many believe, a lover of chaos or a dark nihilist. He was a man staring directly into the abyss and daring to find a way through it. At the heart of his philosophy was the concept of the will to power. The idea that life itself is not about survival, comfort, or even happiness, but about expansion, overcoming, and the creation of meaning through strength. From this vision emerged his famous idea of the Übermensch, the overman or superman. A person who transcends illusions, faces the brutal reality of existence without flinching, and crafts their own values from the chaos. But Nietzsche's insights were not born from the comfort of an ivory tower. He wrote many of his most profound works while battling debilitating illness, isolation, and psychological torment. His philosophy was not an intellectual game. It was a matter of survival, a manual for how to live when every crutch is stripped away. And among all the illusions Nietzsche sought to destroy, there was one he found especially poisonous: hope. A force most people believe is essential for happiness. Nietzsche saw it as the most seductive, most dangerous lie of all. But why? Why did he believe that hope, the thing we cling to most desperately, is the very thing that chains us down the hardest? Let's dive deeper. In The Birth of Tragedy, Nietzsche retells the ancient myth of Pandora, the woman who opened a forbidden box, unleashing every misery upon the world: disease, sorrow, pain. But do you know what remained in the box after all the horrors escaped? Hope. And according to Nietzsche, this was not a blessing. It was the cruelest curse of all. In Human, All Too Human, he writes, "Hope is in truth the worst of evils, because it prolongs the torments of man." Hope, Nietzsche believed, was not the light at the end of the tunnel. It was the tunnel itself, a trap that kept us imprisoned in suffering longer than necessary. He identified 3 ways hope harms us. 1. Hope is opium. Hope sedates us. It tricks us into enduring unbearable circumstances, convincing us that salvation is just around the corner, even when it's not. Instead of changing our reality, we numb ourselves to it. 2. Hope is denial. Hope blinds us. It tempts us to reject the brutal facts of our existence, to believe that somehow magically everything will work out, instead of confronting uncomfortable truths head-on. 3. Hope as learned helplessness. Hope paralyzes us. It conditions us to wait passively for a rescue, instead of becoming our own saviors. In Nietzsche's eyes, a culture that worships hope, from self-help books to inspirational speeches, does not empower people. It lulls them into complacency. It whispers, just wait, just dream, everything will be fine. And while you wait, life passes you by. Hope in this sense is not a catalyst for action. It is the perfect excuse for inaction. But if not hope, then what? How are we supposed to live without this comforting illusion? Is Nietzsche merely advocating a dark, hopeless nihilism? Or is there a deeper, stronger alternative? Let's find out. If hope is a seductive trap, then what does Nietzsche offer in its place? A much fiercer, much braver alternative: Amor Fati, the love of fate. Nietzsche wrote in Ecce Homo, "My formula for human greatness is Amor Fati, not wishing anything to be different. Not in the past, not in the future, not for all eternity." Amor Fati is not resignation. It's not passive acceptance. It's an active embrace of everything that happens, the joys, the tragedies, the injustices, as necessary pieces of the life we are destined to live. Like the Stoics, Nietzsche believed that resisting reality only multiplies suffering. Acceptance brings peace. But Nietzsche goes further. While the Stoics sought to endure fate with calm detachment, Nietzsche demands something harder: to love it. To look at every scar, every loss, every broken dream, and say, yes, this too is good. Because in loving our fate, we transform pain into strength and chaos into meaning. You can see the spirit in real life. A Paralympic athlete who refuses to be defined by disability. An entrepreneur who rebuilds after devastating failure. A survivor who turns trauma into a mission to help others. They don't cling to hope for a different past. They don't wait for salvation. They take what is, no matter how brutal, and forge greatness from it. But the question remains, can we truly live without hope? Or is Amor Fati a beautiful but unreachable ideal? A star we can only navigate by but never fully touch. In the next section, we'll explore how Nietzsche's challenge can be lived, not just admired, from a distance. This isn't abstract philosophy. This is a manual for survival. Here are 4 ways you can apply it in your life. 1. Face reality without flinching. Practice looking directly at the uncomfortable truths you'd rather avoid. Your finances, your health, your relationships. Where are you telling yourself, it's fine, when deep down you know it's not? Where are you hoping, instead of acting? To abandon false comforts. Identify the false hopes in your life, the stories you tell yourself to delay confronting reality. Maybe it's the belief that a toxic relationship will magically improve, or that success will arrive if you just stay positive without making real changes. Replace those hopes with deliberate action, no matter how small. 3. Practice Amor Fati daily. When something painful happens, don't ask, why me? Instead, ask, how can I love this? Start with small annoyances, a canceled plan, a rude comment, a minor failure. Train your mind to see every obstacle as material for growth. 4. Become a creator of meaning. Nietzsche believed that meaning is not found, it is made. Instead of hoping for life to hand you a purpose, craft one. Turn your struggles into fuel. Turn your scars into art. Turn your setbacks into stepping stones. I used to believe that hope was what kept me strong, that if I just kept hoping hard enough, life would eventually bend to my dreams. But Nietzsche's philosophy forced me to ask a harder question. What if waiting is what's killing me? So I started small. I faced the financial mess I'd been ignoring. I ended relationships that were built on wishful thinking. I stopped waiting for perfect circumstances and started creating them. And strangely, when I gave up hope, I found something better. Clarity, strength, freedom. Because abandoning hope doesn't mean falling into despair. It means transcending both and discovering a force far more powerful, the will to embrace life exactly as it is, and to change what you can, without illusions. But was Nietzsche entirely right? Or did he go too far in condemning hope? There are legitimate criticisms to consider. First, the practicality for most people. For many, hope isn't just a passive fantasy. It's a critical psychological tool for enduring unbearable situations. Without some vision of a better future, many would collapse under the weight of their present. Second, the psychological value of hope during acute crises. In moments of tragedy, after a loss, a disaster, a diagnosis, hope can provide just enough light to take the next breath, the next step. Without it, despair might consume entirely. Third, the extreme difficulty of practicing Amor Fati. Truly loving one's fate, especially when life deals brutal hands, requires a level of spiritual strength few can consistently maintain. It is a heroic ideal, but for most it remains just that, an ideal. Maybe the answer isn't to eliminate hope entirely, but to elevate it, to transform hope from passive waiting into conscious, courageous action. What if we could blend Nietzsche's brutal clarity, his demand to face reality without illusions, with a higher form of hope, one rooted not in fantasy, but in the active will to shape a better life? Maybe real strength lies not in rejecting hope, but in reclaiming it, wisely, fiercely, and with open eyes. Nietzsche was never simply a destroyer of hope. He was a builder of something far stronger, the ability to face reality head-on and to find beauty even in its harshest moments. So ask yourself, where in your life are you still imprisoned by passive hope? Where are you waiting instead of acting? I challenge you, for the next 7 days, whenever you catch yourself hoping that things will magically change, pause and say, I accept this. Then ask, what can I do with it? Because perhaps, as Nietzsche suggests, the path to true freedom is not in hoping the world will bend to our will, but in finding the strength to love it exactly as it is, with all its beauty, its cruelty, and its absurdity. That is how the Overman lives.